into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Muppets fans! Welcome back to AfterBuzz TV's The Muppets After Show. We're here to talk about episodes 15 and 16, the season finale of The Muppets on ABC. Generally inhospitable, and because love. All right, I'm your host, Zach Wilson. I just want to get right into it. I'm excited to talk about does pig symbol love frog symbol with a kissy face emoji.
And a diamond.
And a diamond.
But who kissy face emojis lightly? That's
a serious emoji.
Literally, you have to go to 5
There
different
is
pages
literally
to
no
find
such
the
thing as a
kissy
serious
face.
emoji.
I disagree, Katie.
Poop one's pretty
Emojis can
serious.
change the
The
world.
kissy face one. you
Yes,
just
I'm
have to
sure
have it
the
on
smiling
favorites.
poop emoji has changed in many people's lives.
I mean, me plus you equals poo. That's a breakup symbol. That's a breakup text right there. Guarantee you somebody's gotten that text.
That person is better off.
And I'm sorry, guys. All right,
Or your
let's
cooking
introduce
gave me
our
food poisoning. I don't know.
Let's introduce ourselves. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter. Tweet me throughout the week, throughout the show, at that Zach Wilson. Autumn Chiklis is here.
Hello, I am here. I am Autumn Chiklis. You can find me all over the internet on Twitter and Instagram at Autumn Chiklis.
And I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That's Kaufmann.
Hi, all my buddies. I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. We are checking the live chat and the hashtag ABTV Muppets.
All right, guys. I mean, I just want to, right off the bat, I want to get your thoughts. This was the season finale of the Muppets. What do you guys think? What did you think of these two episodes?
The first one was better than the second one.
I liked 15 a lot.
Yeah, 15 was a ton of fun. And then 16 was just kind of like, we are going to push this ship super hard to the expense of everything else.
It very much, I am pretty much in agreement with the last one was pretty heavy on this is a finale, so we have to tie everything up with a bow really quickly and suddenly.
And then
And then
cliffhanger it. Because
rip it off at the
why
last
not?
second.
Whereas I think if 15 were the finale, I kind of would have felt a little better.
Yeah.
That it's you're just gonna go out with everything happening awesome, and even if I love you under anesthesia was all we got, and that's how they ended the season. I think I would have enjoyed that better.
Yeah. And then Kermit talking with Rolf and trying to figure it out. And then, we go into the hypothetical next season, starting with that. And then we can have a whole season of them trying to figure out, do we want to do this? Yes, no, maybe?
Well, what concerns me about that actually is the fact that it almost felt like they were worried that in case they didn't, they wanted to get Piggy and Kermit back together, or potentially, or at least get that out in the air that they both loved each other. But regardless, I am on Team Love when it comes to Kermit and Piggy. So
Are we gonna?
I did appreciate that they basically gave us teams, and it is how we've been been dividing this panel this
Yeah,
year.
exactly.
Team Love and Team Friendship. Are you Team Piggy or Team Denise?
Well, I am definitely Team Love. So in that way, I was happy, but still, I think they went a little on the nose with certain things for sure.
Yes.
Over the course of the episode.
What team are you on, Steve? Go.
I'm Team Friendship, not Team Denise.
Katie.
I'm team, why did you hijack the episode for this?
That's a fair.
That's not one.
That's a fair
There's
team.
only two teams.
I vote independent. Of
It's Super Tuesday.
course, throw your vote away.
Nice. I
Thank you for getting
I
it.
found myself
got it.
torn on which team I was going to land on, because I've been Team Friendship all season, and I think I still am. For Kermit, I'm Team Love. For the show, I'm Team Friendship.
I buy
Bam.
that.
Because,
bam.
like, if they get together, I mean, that's a different season 2. And that's what you want. You want something different. You don't want it to be the same.
Yeah, I would argue that it would be a different season 2. And I think there's only so long you can stretch.
Will they, won't they?
Will they, won't they? Especially in this context. Because when you look at other shows, they'll stretch the will they, won't they for 10 seasons. And you're like, they're going to already. Or they kill them. But, like, this is definitely... It's
Are you still bitter from How I Met Your Mother as well?
to me.
Take that as a yes.
No, it's just that, you know, you can stretch those kinds of things out. But in this case, it is the Muppets. And it also is Kermit and Piggy. And I know I've said this quite frequently on this panel, but I do believe that there is something about the Kermit Piggy thing where they're not going to do... it has a different existence than a lot of the things that we like to see in television, because Kermit and Piggy are not just these two characters who we've gotten to know separately and, like, are they good for each other anymore? Like, they're Muppets, and they're a symbol of love to us, and a symbol of a perfect relationship despite their differences, since they are, you know,
I
creation.
sincerely hope they're not a symbol of a perfect relationship,
Well,
because, oh my God.
No, but not perfect, but real.
Yeah, they're
the
a
same
symbol
time.
of a functional relationship.
A functional relationship, and I mean, not perfect in the sense that they're perfect for each other, but...
Wait, are you guys... Did you say functional?
No, they're
sorry,
not
I'm sorry,
functional
I cut
either.
you off,
No, I
Autumn.
meant functional in the way
They are
that
not functional.
perfection isn't human, is what I mean.
I was just like, you guys need to go see couples therapists, like,
I
immediately.
was gonna say, this is
if
not a
that's
perfect relationship.
functional.
This is not a functional relationship.
But
This
it's
is a
also not-
severely messed up relationship.
I think we're taking it too seriously in that way, though, because,
Have
like...
you seen Deadpool?
Have I
Yes.
seen... I have not yet.
It's a your crazy matches my crazy sort of thing. This is not a solid relationship,
So,
but
Autumn,
it
not-
Autumn, I'm sorry I
works.
cut you off.
No. But here's the thing. I think because when in my life and in reality, if we're talking about relationships, yeah, you don't want my crazy matches your crazy. You want steady, happy, like very compatible relationships in which you guys, you know, have
What
the
you
same
really want
principles
is
and stuff.
your crazy complements my crazy.
Sure,
Your
but
crazy
right out of
is
my
different
mouth.
from
Yeah.
my crazy.
Sure, but with the Muppets, I think that we also I guess the point that I'm trying to make is we have to remember that they are still Muppets and that they are a representation of a real relationship, so that the adults kind of laugh at them and go, oh, you know, we're none of us are perfect. We get in fights, and they're kind of, you know, they're still not human beings. And I don't mean that in a like, oh, give them a break. They can, you know, they don't have to flesh out their characters. They do. But there is something to be said about what they symbolize and the fact that, yeah, as a relationship, if they were two people, they would not necessarily be the ideal couple for television. But then again, I hate to be this person, but there's a reason that so many people watch The Bachelor as well. Television often likes, but I'm not watching it either. But you know what I mean? People like to see. People don't want to watch the perfect relationship that no one ever has a fight unless there's another relationship on the other end of the spectrum that's in total shambles.
Yeah.
Because a happy relationship. This is a happy I guess what I'm trying to say is this is a happy relationship. It's just also we have to remember that they're Muppets. They're not. You know, there are no stakes here.
They are real people, Autumn. They are real, and they need our help to figure out their relationship.
I don't know, Zach. Usually real people are beholden to the laws of physics.
Says you.
I think we're getting a little real here, guys.
I think you're telling me something. I'm
We're
not sure
getting
I
the
want to
opposite
know.
of reals.
Yeah. But
Gone deep
yeah.
into the realm of fiction.
I am happy that the two of them will end up getting back together ultimately, which, like I said, I kind of always knew they would because I thought that this was more a marketing ploy than anything else. Because it's the same thing where you can't break up Mickey and Minnie. You can't, you know, there are certain...
I like the idea, and it was Seth MacFarlane did this, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, where he killed Brian for like 4 episodes, and they just got a new dog, and like he pushed it so far that you were like, I think Brian's just dead. And then, like, eventually Brian came back, but he literally did it to, like, prove to your audience, like, no, sometimes people die. Like, sometimes things change.
Yeah.
And then we put it back.
Yeah, and then we...
Because
'Cause I'm
negative continuity, the show.
Because I'm Seth MacFarlane, and I'm God of these characters.
Well, also, it's just like because we want to. And, like, you don't mess with a dynamic on a TV show.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. And I think that we have to, like, keep those kinds of things in mind. And with the Muppets, we have to remember that this extends... and this is what I was trying to articulate earlier, but I was having a rough time. The Muppets as an entity extend further than this television series, and so you have to like place it in the greater context of these are these characters to generations of people. So like it's kind of difficult to completely like punch an entire generation in the face and be like, yours was a lie. And even in most cases, when it comes to normal, like when it comes to like FX or any real like television, like tough television, I like to see the real.
Yeah.
But with the Muppets, a family show, I understand them kind of going more for the sentimental.
But I feel like being beholden to this is this for a couple generations of people. This is this. It makes them afraid to do anything new. Notice how quickly they ousted Denise when they thought the new formula wasn't working. Mm-hmm. And it's not that everything is predicated on this ship, it's that we can't just rehash the same thing over and over and over again. We need something new.
That's true.
But in a lot of ways, I think we talked about this a little bit last week, the show is, like, the Muppets, not just the show, but the Muppets, is in a lot of ways Kermit and Piggy's love story.
Yeah.
Like, throughout all of the properties. Not saying that's, like, the focus 100% of the time.
But it's a constant that if you were to change it, part of that world kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, and what I will say, as much as I liked the differences that we got at the beginning of the season, and I think this show had a much stronger first half than second, I did like the way that this episode handled their relationship potentially coming back together, because it did feel so. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't easy. They could have easily gone down the route of the morphine-induced I love yous, and then they spend that finale episode in like getting back together mode, and other things get complicated, or they like don't get to see each other, or whatever it is. The hijinks, but they're getting back together. No, it was back and forth on like, is this a good idea? Is it not a good idea? Which is very real. Like you might make a decision to flip that coin and be like, that's the way I feel. That's what I want to do. And then something happens 5 minutes later that makes you completely question what was happening. And that's Kermit. Kermit, like, he's like, yeah, this is the right decision. And then he's cowering in a desk drawer, which was so funny.
Yeah, and I don't blame Piggy for being mad at that. I mean, if I were to find out that the person who I had proclaimed my morphine-induced love to and returned was hiding from me, I would be very upset.
# morphine-induced love.
I feel like that's already a hashtag.
Somewhere.
I feel like that's a problem.
Yeah.
Still a hashtag.
But I eventually did like that. And Kermit's like running away was great comedy.
Yeah.
I loved him diving out the window.
That was cute. That was funny.
That was cute, and that was Muppetsy. And also, Ralph made it very clear that the coin flip was MacGuffin. Like, it meant a lot to Miss Piggy. That it was like, what? I was a coin flip? But in reality, the coin flip was just Ralph knew what Kermit wanted.
Well, Ralph knew what he was doing, but Kermit flipped a coin.
That's
fair.
That is fair, but there is something to be said about, I mean, I always like to flip coins because the minute you flip it, you immediately go like, hope it's heads, hope it's tails, and that's how you kind of know. So I think that was a fun little truth that was planted. Fun little
Can we talk about Rolf being back?
Yes.
Yeah. That was glorious. Oh my God, veterinary hospital.
That was so funny.
Rolf is back.
I had not realized how much I'd missed some of the old sketches until it was, here it is. Let's check your reflexes. Not with that. Reflexes are good. Just like, yes.
I was really torn on this because I love Rolf. Having Rolf back is amazing. Kermit going to him in the bar was wonderful.
And the licensed therapy dog shtick, where
like,
he's not an actual licensed therapy dog. That is extremely LA.
Oh, man. It was wonderful. But because that's what Rolf has been, like, since the beginning. Yeah. Like, in the very first Muppet movie. Like, he is, like, he's consoling Kermit about his problems with Miss Piggy.
Yep.
But these episodes also had they spent so much time just doing sketches. Like, ostensibly just like as part of the show. They just like spent probably a third of the episode just in sketches, and I don't need that. Like the veterinary, like the hospital thing, like with Rolf, like his line about like they were doing some of the old sketches. I'm like, okay, all right, and then it's just like, this is fine. Like it's not new. And I liked this show because it was giving me my favorite characters in something new. I don't need to rewatch the old things or see, like, occasionally them getting into hijinks, but the fun of this show was, like, the behind the scenes. I don't know. What did you guys think? Did you think that showing us so many sketches with Beaker and Honeydew, with the musical guests, with Rolf, was that too much, or was that? Did you like it?
This felt like, for lack of a better term, the dump the trash episode. Which I'm not saying any of it's trash, but I'm saying in order to have a show within a show, you have a bunch of people writing these Muppets-esque sketches that I'm sure a bunch of them just wound up in a pile. That they said one episode, we're gonna have like a sketch episode. That there's only gonna be an A storyline and then a bunch of sketches. And then that was episode 15, and I really enjoyed it. And I think if, in going with what they've been doing with this show, they retool it again, I wouldn't mind just... They renew it for season 2, but then completely change everything. I wouldn't mind a more straightforward Muppet sketch show.
Yeah. I honestly thought that was what they were going to do when they said we're bringing the Muppets back on. I'm like, yes, it's an updated Muppet show, and it's not going to be Muppets tonight. All right. Wait a minute. So I actually think that it worked really well, what with the A-plot, with Piggy's insecurities, with it was kind of a horrifying little bit of backstory. Like, I grew up on a farm. Whenever anyone broke a leg, they'd take him away, and I'd see him in a butcher shop. Like, okay, that got extremely real.
Yeah. That got dark real quick, like 0 to 60.
Well, what's fun about that?
It was funny, but it was just awful.
No, but what's fun about that juxtaposition is you do have that kind of old school Muppets with the sketches and the things that will, I mean, hate to bring it back to that, but like that, if I agree with you, you don't want to be so safe that you're trying to make everyone happy, and then you're like way too safe and you don't actually take any risks. And what I do like about this new Muppets was that it was a lot edgier and that it went that dark for, the more adult audiences. But then I kind of like the idea of satisfying both of those things where you have those sketches, but I don't know if it could be sustainable for an entire season is the one thing that
the sketches.
Well, honestly, that's the thing that the classic Muppet Show did. You got to see all the stuff going on behind the scenes, in the wings, etc., along with what was going on stage. And so they always had those bits of that going on. And that's more of what this was.
It's sort of the reverse of that.
A little. Well, we had framing the show around trying to do it out of a hospital room. And so it worked pretty well to show the sketches, to show this is what we do when it's a pickup game. We brought back Veterinary Hospital because we're in a hospital and we didn't tell this patient this was happening, so let's roll with it. We brought Willie Nelson actually into the hospital, and we had something of a B plot, kind of an 8.5 plot with
Can we
Pache?
jump into that? Because I think specifically everybody who locked Pache into that closet represented us on this panel.
Honestly,
we're just so upset with
I thought that Pache was
Pache.
messing with them after that conversation, and that he was going to walk out the door and immediately go in the studio.
That was actually the one thing that I had strong opinions against in this episode, was that moment where he just comes out and is like, yeah, all I wanted to do in my life is work at the sporting goods with my father. Okay, bye.
Yeah. That's why I thought he was messing with them.
That felt really forced to me.
Yeah.
That felt like, hey, we're not getting a good response on Pache. We gotta oust him now.
Gee,
like Denise.
They've been hurt. They must listen to this show.
And react incredibly quickly.
Well, it sounded like there was a draft of this script laying around, and many versions of this script where he said, and he played them and then walked out to the studio and had his DJ friend, which should have been Stephanie Tanner.
Skrillex.
DJ Stephanie Tanner.
Well, no, he said female, but with Skrillex showing up on the Muppet Show.
That would have been dope.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, it's Pache, I haven't been shy about it, has been my least favorite part of this season because he just represents this, like, he was exactly what we thought was going to happen when the network retooled the show, is like, when you acknowledge that there's retooling going on, like, you have to also not, like, if you're going to do that where, like, you see the network doing something, you have to at least a little bit not do that, because it was basically, he was an excuse.
Or be so meta.
That, yeah.
Like, I would have enjoyed him better if he were just incredibly meta of, like, yeah, and, like, somebody calls him out on false logic, and he's like, yeah, I don't get it either, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that would have at least given him a dimension of, oh, he's a representation of what they have to do to keep this show on the air.
And he absolutely is, but they presented it as if he was, like, a part of an organic part of the show.
Yeah,
and that
I
was where
understand
it fell short.
They
for
tried
me.
to play it straight, and it needed to be straddling the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, where if it was straddling the fourth wall, I think it would have played better, because I appreciate what they were trying to do. Because it would have been, I think, really difficult to put all of these new, updated requests that obviously, are coming from producers or what have you into play. But the fact that it wasn't quite self-referencing enough, it kind of felt inside baseball in the sense that if you don't know that this is what's going on because you have kind of an inside understanding of the series, then you would absolutely not know. And his character and I mean, I know 5 minutes ago, I'm going to sound totally contradicting, because 5 minutes ago I was talking about how we were like, these aren't full-fleshed characters, quote unquote.
Flesh.
Yeah, exactly.
These are full-fledged characters.
Full-fledged characters.
Fledged.
I said fledged, but
okay.
fleshed. Full-fleshed characters as well.
Fleshed out.
Yeah, fleshed out characters. In this particular case, I think that they could have gone a lot further with making him an actual character and not just an entire cliche on himself, unless they wanted to go so far into the cliche that it was basically
That you come out the other side.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of great comedy that came out of him being locked in there, though.
Sweetums bringing him ants on a log and wanting to talk about his life story. I freaking love Sweetums.
There's a lot less.
like as a kid?
And just Big Mean Carl.
Man.
He and Deadly have both been so well used in this show.
Yes,
I'm
Deadly's
just completely
excellent.
impressed with both of them.
So unknown as characters.
Yeah.
But they've been used so much, and we've never really gotten tired of them.
No.
Not at
Yeah.
all.
Especially Deadly. Like, Deadly became, like, not just for Katie, but for everybody, like a fun character.
He's
Absolutely.
everybody's sassy gay friend.
I could see Deadly. Was Deadly on the red carpet Sunday night? He wasn't. Like, I could see Deadly covering E's red carpet.
That would have been cute.
Oh my god.
No, he would
Actually,
be
well, he
the
would've
one
been a-
talking about the fashion the day after.
Oh, he.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
my goodness.
he
Joan
would
River
be-
style. Oh, it's
man.
great. Like Fashion Police. I would
Can
so
we-
see Deadly
Can
on
you
Fashion
see
Police.
that?
I want ABC get to work on that.
You had the
My
Oscars,
kingdom
ABC.
for that.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. If they'd had Deadly as part of the opening red carpets thing.
Oh man.
If we thought that they had more faith in the Muppets, they might have done it. But I honestly think the fact that they aired this as a double is a sign that, like, they didn't
As
have a strong faith.
As a March finale, as a
Yeah.
March 1st finale.
Yeah.
I mean,
Doesn't bode well.
this of all the television seasons I've ever followed, this is the one where nothing's as it seems. They didn't cancel a show till like November. Like they just
Yeah, and that was Wicked City.
this was the season where they would just stop orders or shorten orders and then not cancel anything for a while.
Well,
That's
because
weird.
they've realized, like, networks have realized that you don't need, if you don't cancel, if you let it finish a run, you can put it on Hulu and keep the views coming.
yeah, you can sell it to Hulu, you can sell it to Amazon.
Yeah, you can at least get a completed thing and call it a limited series, and then you didn't cancel, and you can get more money than just like there's a market for those shows as opposed to just throwing it off the air.
Like, Minority Report's not canceled, but they definitely had a warehouse sale and sold all of the stuff. I have a friend who owns Dash's baseball cap, so it's like,
I was invited to that.
it's not coming back.
Probably not.
But okay, so like we also were dealing with the plus 11s.
One of my
God.
favorite moments tonight was these plus 11s are getting a little too much. I
Yeah.
want permission to maul the next one who asks me if I'm the bear from The Revenant.
was a-
That got me.
It was a quick write. It was a quick.
That was
It was
beautiful.
quick,
I wrote
but
that
that got me.
moment too. It was
That
so,
got me.
so good. Bobo in all of this, like he passes out like when he sees a twisted ankle.
That wasn't
That's-
twisted.
that-
Even though she's a Muppet, they kept zooming in on that, and I'm like, oh.
That was.
Well, it was
Okay.
literally twisted.
It was 90 degrees. That ain't twisted anymore.
Yes,
That's
twisted 90
no,
degrees.
No. That was.
It's a Muppet. You don't really break.
The sound effects said otherwise.
It was
loved-
bad.
Speaking of
It
sound
was
effects,
bad.
I loved when Bobo passed out on Kermit because the smack on the table was awesome.
Best sound mixing goes to.
Yeah, no
Muppets show.
kidding.
But yeah, so there's I want to talk about like going back to the love storyline.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the whole like crew getting involved and Honeydew with his mathematical formula that
For love.
leads to show canceled.
and I took a screenshot.
Yeah.
I found. I didn't find very much, but I found Sweetum's cousin doesn't go to college.
That was on
Is
there.
on one.
And then it's
the
Piggy
other-
squared plus Kermit
Yeah,
squared
it's P squared plus K squared. So we can
minus
only assume.
91502, which is the
506.
91506, which is the
Burbank zip code where
They
Walt
shoot the
Disney
show.
Studios is.
So that's that actually could
Which
be a
is
meta
something you
moment.
only know if you live in Burbank.
That's kind of a meta moment.
Yeah.
Will it lead to the cancellation? That's
We couldn't read what else was on there, though. It was too blurry. So if anyone has a very clear screen
We would
cap
love
of
that.
the whiteboard and knows what's written in the top right, there's like
In, like,
3
blue?
paragraphs
Yeah.
of stuff
I wouldn't
that
be
we
surprised.
couldn't read.
Because in my mind, I was thinking like it's either something super meta of like, why are you reading this, or it's the plot to the whole story. It's the plot to the whole episode. in the
It's
first.
just like you need a life.
Hey, AfterBuzz.
Zoom in 1000% to read this.
I would love that so much if it were like, Steve, stop reading the whiteboard.
You're such a nerd.
Steve from AfterBuzz TV, stop reading the whiteboard.
But so it starts to show itself when this leads to a cancellation for the musical guest.
Yeah, of course. Bruno Mars. So devastating.
Bruno Mars. I mean, he wanted a piece of that piggy.
Uptown funked him up.
Uptown funked him up. We're out. Bye, guys.
Yeah. All right.
I
That'll be it. No, everyone stop it. No. Because then we got Jack White as a result of all that.
That was fantastic.
We ran
Yes.
through this like audition thing where again, like we just got like more
The
classic
Phenomena.
Muppets.
I love the
Which
Phenomena
I-
Muppets.
But again, this is where I get torn because I love Phenomena. Phenomena's perfect.
Could he
But
have
they
just,
just sort of threw it in here as like a hey, remember this?
whereas it could have, the way they ended this season, they literally could have, after Pepe says like, I'm on the plane with them and they're going to spend a bunch of time together, that would have been where to have the Phenomena guy and then just end the seat. Because that's kind of what the Phenomena ending is that like everything's kind of wrapped up.
The question
Phenomena.
is, what is a Phenomena? The question is, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this. I love Phenomena. It's
I-
such a
But
brilliant song.
if you're
No,
gonna
It
get
is
him,
phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, I love the little. I understand what you're saying. I happen to love the little inserts that throw us back. It's just a matter of how long they are, how many there are, and where do you place them.
I think that's what it is. I don't think that any particular one was bad. I think it's that there were so many that I
understand.
felt like it was bogging it down.
I think it would have probably been better if these sketches had been placed over the course of the season, so it didn't feel like last ditch effort, throw all of our
Yes.
nostalgia all
Yeah.
at once. It could have been like, I appreciated it because it tickled my nostalgia, but at the same time, it could have been. I think that there was room, and if it hopefully comes back, they can insert sketches throughout. Like every episode, you have one or two throughout the episode that fits in with that context, so you feel like it is a through line and not just like, well, let's dump everything all at once. You know what I mean?
But if you notice, they only fall back on the old sketches when they're desperate, when they're missing a musical number. Piggy and Kermit come out and do one for themselves, or we have to put this show together from a hospital. What are we going to do? Or we don't have a musical guest. What do? Here's the Phenomena people. This is something that only comes out as a desperate measure. And if every show winds up being, here's a disaster for X reasons, bring in the what, then it gets to be a problem. But for this, I'm willing to buy it. And I think part of it is we had 2 episodes back to back.
Although that's what the Muppet
fair.
Show was.
Yeah.
The Muppet Show, to a certain extent, was a sketch show.
It was a variety show.
Yeah, variety show with a behind-the-scenes option of here's why you're seeing what you're seeing, and sometimes the things go terribly wrong, and there's a through line that explains it.
Yeah, it's SNL with backstage.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if all the episodes were like the one we're talking about, 15, then I think we would have felt a different way from go about this show.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see the show renewed, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Stick around for news and gossip, because I wanted to make sure we discuss that and take a look at some stuff. But what this all leads to, Kermit's don't
Not again!
Spill everything.
Not again!
It's
but what it leads to, Kermit's love and not sure what to do. He's looking for a sign, as Rolf was saying, and he needs to find a musical guest, and that's when he pulls up next to Jack White. Because why not?
Because why not?
Because Hollywood.
And this was such an awesome plot line.
I love that.
Everything about once Jack White showed up on screen was awesome. Because I thought our song was Froggy Went to Court. She went to courting. I mean, the fact that they're friends and they have a song.
By the way, I was saying to Katie this is Jack White. It's so silly to me that Jack White and Kermit the Frog are sitting on a park bench discussing whether Piggy, you love Piggy. It's Jack White. There's so many people where I would have been yeah, of course the two of them are buddies and are hanging out and they're just talking about love. But it's Jack White, rock and roller, legend. Okay, sure. I mean, I'm willing to accept that. I love it. I love that kind of weird juxtaposition almost.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people, regardless of image, the Muppets is their nostalgia. So who's to say it's not his? They're like, hey, you want to be on the Muppets? Do a scene with Kermit? Yes!
If you don't love the Muppets, this is how they get so many guest stars. Because if you don't love the Muppets, you have no soul. There, I said it.
It's fair.
It's true. But I
will
think
give allowances to people who did not grow up with the Muppets or haven't been exposed.
Or grew up in countries that didn't have the
If you
Muppets.
haven't seen it, I'll give you time to watch it. If you watch it for any period of time and still do not like it, no soul.
Well, if their only experience is like Muppets in space, I'll give you a pass.
But I mean,
no soul.
if they watched Jimmy Fallon's show and then watched the finale of Jimmy Fallon's show, you're in. You've seen the Muppets.
okay.
Or that song. Yeah.
Right. But the thing about Jack White, by the way, it was less that I was so surprised that he himself did this show. I totally understand why he did that show. But I just thought it was an interesting choice of all the people they could have asked to bring in someone like Jack White. And I very much approved of that decision because there are certain people who are a little on the, I guess, softer side, I'll say, who it feels like would have been more of a obvious pick. But I loved the fact that I thought it was a fun kind of twist that it was, rock and roller Jack White. And because he's such a badass, to have it next to such innocence and lovingness as Kermit talking about his love life with Piggy, I thought that was great.
I mean, that's the thing is when you could easily go with somebody that's could have a heart to heart, and what this show has done well with their guest stars is just hitting you with a classic clash of context scenario with all of their guest stars. When you have Jason Bateman, who everyone thinks of as this super nice guy, great comedian, probably very easy to get along with, comes in and is just a huge dick.
That's
to
Kermit.
That's
great. That's funny.
It's perfect because it surprises us. And Jack White being this guy on a park bench, it's the perfect surprise because it's not where you expect it to go.
Exactly, talking to Kermit about, and it makes you like him.
Yeah,
it makes you
and
love
then
him.
the two of them singing "Fell in Love with a Girl" at each other in the car. Awesome.
I just kept going, watch the road, watch the road.
I loved also, you're just going to ride with me. What about your car? He's like, oh, someone will get it. Because there are so many people out here who live their lives like that.
Jack White, like, he's got a guy for that.
Yeah, he's got a guy for all of the things, I'm sure.
Like, even if he doesn't need to go back for the car, he's like, I'll have somebody get back to it tomorrow.
That was funny.
But I just wrote down on my sheet of paper, once they got into the studio, greatest musical performance yet. I was getting chills.
I loved it
during his performance. That's why I had to open with it, because
it was really great.
The guitar riffs on this song, like to start it off, Dr. Teeth's piano. I mean, I know it's not like the Muppet playing the piano because it's so perfectly done, but it's just like all like the full band. I want a full recording of that song
version. Yeah, it was a
in
great
my
version.
life.
Great cover.
Because I will play it on a loop for days.
That can be the
Damn.
B-side of the Rolf EP.
I honestly liked Willie Nelson's better.
I did too.
I mean, Willie Nelson was good. Like, it was a good cameo. Like, his was fun. But this was like, I got excited. I got excited by this song.
I understand
More
that.
than I have for any other musical guest. Like, some of them have been good. Maybe Dave Grohl versus Animal.
That was
That
challenging.
to me was the highlight
it.
of the
That
musical
was-
guest of the show.
I agree with that one.
Yeah. All brilliant. But yeah, so I mean, and then we got to talk about the big ending.
Of course.
On the plane, Kermit runs up with her pre-fight.
Yeah, I had no idea that airlines didn't do pre-flight calzones.
Yeah. We also didn't talk about Yolanda, and I wanted to throw out.
Oh yeah.
God bless Yolanda.
That was cute. That was a cute little, the ring on her
wrist.
On the wrist. That was a cute little moment. But anyway,
I
yes.
loved her being a vocal mimic. That made
Yeah,
me
that was wonderful.
so ridiculously happy.
That's such an absurd thing who came up with it, but I love it, and I love that it was her.
Well, they needed the plot device for the episode to work.
Yeah, but I
it
just
was
love
still
that it was her.
glorious.
You know, I used to
yeah.
date a parrot.
You taught me how to do it.
But pre-calzones, pre-flight calzones.
I mean, that would be no. Actually, I was about to say that would be a great thing. No, you are trapped in the sky with like several like hundred people
And
all
pizza
eating
smell.
calzone. Not even the pizza smell; it's the result of the pizza.
Well,
smell.
I mean, are you talking about pre-flight calzones for everybody? Yeah, that'll be disastrous. Pre-flight calzones for you? That's fine
Oh
for
yeah,
you.
for me. But like in theory,
if they served them.
even if
Oh,
it
no,
takes
that's a
someone
disaster.
like Piggy to not realize that no one else has one, or to not care, because obviously she gets one. She's Miss Piggy, and no one else has that privilege.
Yeah, and that
Like,
cute,
there's just that 1% mental block right there.
but that cute moment of realizing that, you know, he does this for her, and then the Ambien joke with the like 2 glasses of champagne.
Chardonnay, yeah.
That knocks her out.
let's talk about this. I've taken an Ambien and 2 glasses of Chardonnay to wash it down. So
Then we gotta
Oh,
try.
wait, maybe we shouldn't talk about this.
And this is definitely the second, wow, things hit her quickly joke in 2 episodes, because it took like 30 seconds tops for that to occur, both for the morphine and for the Ambien.
The morphine-
Ambien's supposed to be slow release.
the morphine, that's pretty accurate. Like you count back from
35
10
seconds.
and like
Yeah,
you're
morphine,
down.
you're.
Morphine.
If
Well, that's
anything, she was
anesthesia. I didn't think that was morphine.
morphine can like knock
If it's
you
like
out.
right into your system.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
it's
so
a
it's
drip.
Because she's got it on a drip if she's
On the
pressing
clicker,
a button.
yeah.
Yeah,
And if you hit that button enough, it stops dripping.
She basically hit that like because those buttons like they don't just keep going like they do have a mechanical limit to make sure you don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
But if you just keep hitting it a bunch of times, it will just give you a whole bunch of pain meds like at once.
Cool.
Are we speaking from experience?
No,
all
I've
been
actually
in-
never been on one. I just but I've watched enough medical shows.
And those are accurate.
Yeah, but
Don't mess with Dr. House.
yeah, she went down
Okay.
real quick. She's not the most.
She a lightweight.
She doesn't have a lot of tolerance.
Yeah.
Put it that way, but that's okay.
She's only like 3 feet high. It's
fair.
Like,
It's
I
fair,
mean,
guys.
compared to her body mass, I think 2 Ambien and two Ambien and a Chardonnay.
2 Chardonnays.
2 Chardonnays.
An Ambien and 2 Chardonnay.
Yeah, the other way. An Ambien and 2 Chardonnays, I think, compared to her body weight, it's probably about right.
Yeah, they don't. You know, they don't have any organs, so it just goes through really quickly, just right up and down.
I will have to challenge Daniela Graff in the chat room who says, you realize calzone contains pig meat. Not necessarily.
Vegetarian
Oh, they're-
calzones.
You could have a veggie
Boom.
calzone or you could have a beef calzone. I think any
I've had a
any
chicken
of,
calzone once. I think.
Yeah, you can have
You
chicken
could
calzones.
have a vegan calzone if you tried hard
It's
enough.
called
I mean, that wouldn't
called
be
soup.
a calzone. That would be a lie.
I actually had vegan cookies today that were amazing.
No,
So-
they were
Those
lies.
can be real good.
No, they were
They
glorious.
can
You
be
had
really good.
odd pastries that were glued together with some mystery substances.
I had
don't be
sugar
hidden.
cookies that were made with applesauce and homemade icing, and they were glorious.
Listen, I am not vegan, but I've had some damn good vegan cookies in my time.
I know, right? And I've occasionally had vegan meals that are like, I don't understand.
Either way.
Yeah.
But then we get the end, and we gotta discuss. Like, we gotta make calls on this. So, because Piggy, like, we don't know what she was gonna say.
No, we don't.
Our relationship's always been a complicated one, Kermit, and that's why.
Ka-thunk.
And so
Honestly?
I think it's time to. I think we need to just call this predictions
Yeah.
right now.
Are we skipping news and gossip?
And now,
we can do
your
that.
AfterBuzz TV.
I can change the order. if I
You're
want
breaking
to.
tradition!
I am the Kermit of this show.
Tradition!
All right. So, what do you guys think? Does Piggy want to get back together with Kermit, or no? What was she gonna say?
I honestly don't care one way or another. Because we're going to come back and it's going to be, break sure occurred, and it's just going to be, here is the noodle incident that was their vacation. And we'll reference it, but we'll never get to see it. So
Well,
I'm just
but
kind of
either
like,
they're
we're gonna
together
see-
or not.
Yeah, but we're going to go straight into the aftermath of that either way, so I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about what it's going to be, because I know we're going to walk in at the end.
That is true.
Yeah, I think what he's asking is, at the end of it, are they together or not? Is the question.
Yeah.
Again, I just, that part of my
You just
brain
said you
has
just
shut
can't
off.
make a call.
She doesn't
All
care.
right.
She just wants to see the Muppets in a show.
Bingo!
Not necessarily-
Exactly! This is one of
But
the few
that's-
shows
we-
where I will
of
not
course we
stake
wanna
down
s-
a ship war.
We're not. No one's saying like, don't renew the Muppets. Renew the Muppets.
Renew the
Hashtag renew
Muppets.
the Muppets. Like, come on. But I'm saying like, end of the day, season 2, episode 1. Kermit and Piggy holding hands, dating, or Kermit and Piggy working together.
I'm expecting it to be nuclear fallout either which way, because if they're not back together and they spend however long together, holy cow, that's a disaster. And if they are back together and they spend however long together, it's these two. It's gonna be a disaster. So either which way, we're gonna have some form of nuclear fallout to deal with when they come back.
Right.
So I'm not too worried about how we get there, because I know we're getting there eventually anyway.
Right. Well, like I said, I very much feel like eventually they are going to end up back together. The big question, I guess, is whether or not throughout season 2 they want to make it just kidding, well, won't they again, and extend that. Or if they want to make it, yes, they got back together, and now here are all the trials and tribulations that come with working with your significant other in this context. So to me, it's really just a matter of how much they want to stretch out the inevitable. Because in my mind, like I said, I've said this a million times, I don't think there's any question as to whether or not they're inevitably going to get back together. They're Kermit and Piggy. They are one and the same at a certain point. Like they're an entity in the same way. Like I said, Mickey and Minnie. There are certain things that their creation was together, and they exist as a unit together. And as much as we want to like pretend that breaking them apart actually furthers things, I think that the whole reason they did it was to inevitably bring them back.
Yeah.
And I think it was written this way so they could come back however they want.
Yeah.
And
They're deciding.
that's the vagueness they left here.
And I mean, this is the showrunner's attempt to get the show back for season
Because
2.
he can sell them he can sell them whatever show they want.
Yeah.
I
So
think Piggy was going to say we're going to be friends, though. Because I don't think either character grew enough by being apart. That I would rather because what they never did was got closure with each other and actually moved forward as characters, that I would like for them to spend 2 months in Thailand as friends.
yeah.
And then come back either as a couple or not.
Yeah, I think it would be very interesting to see them come back and maybe, like, this is now Kermit sort of longing for it, reverse roles, so that Piggy's, like, seeing somebody else. We get, like,
That's
another
possible.
frog. Just, like, straight up reverse it. So we've only got a couple minutes left to finish out this season for the after show, and I think we need to spend it in news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Because, unfortunately, the ratings, I mean, we don't know what tonight's episode looked like, and
Yeah.
that'll be a big factor in whether or not ABC wants to bring the show back. But the ratings, like as far as last week's episode are concerned, it's not great. Like they pulled in, I think live like 1.3, and that's what I'm seeing on TV by the numbers, and that's not good enough. Like that was the thing. Like they fired the showrunner who was doing a great job, especially for a first season.
Yeah.
With massive expectations from everyone.
With an unknown intellectual property.
ABC was unsatisfied with what they were getting, and I don't think that the ratings have really gone up to the point where
They haven't,
Yeah,
yeah.
they have. Well, gone up. They haven't gone up. I don't think they've gone up at all. But like, they definitely aren't like seeing the numbers in a way that they're like, oh, this is definitely ever new. That said, it's still done very well for them, and no one's going to shun the Muppets.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that at the end of the day, this isn't going to come. If it does come back, it's not going to be because the ratings blew them out of the water. That we can all safely say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be because they feel that the Muppets has a built-in audience, that it's done well enough for them where if they give them one more shot, they can really finalize what they want to do and play with it more. And that at the end of the day, because that's such a pre-established fan base and the Muppets will never die, you can revamp it as many times as you want and still expect people to come back. It's not like if you're building a show from the ground up where you have to convince an audience to continue coming back. You know what I mean?
Also, in typical Disney fashion, this will be lateral integration. Just like the first season.
Right.
We were saying this, well, I wasn't in the room, but we were saying this the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Of will they, won't they, we're not sure. It didn't pick up till the end.
It's worth more than just the ratings on the show.
Yes.
The Muppets
Yes.
being out there in existence is also going to drive theme park attendance because there are Muppet things to do there.
Not anymore.
I heard they're killing Muppets 3D, and I'm very upset about it.
We're gonna get a Muppets Land.
Yeah, and Muppet 3D has been gone for a while
Long
in
time.
Disneyland. Like, there really aren't any Muppet attractions left in the parks.
Well, either way, Muppets is a massive merchandise seller.
I was about to say
anytime, whether
it's
it's
less
on the
about
air or not.
Yeah, it's less about theme park, and I think it's more about merchandise. It's more about the things that they, as a brand,
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah, I think it's more. Hopefully, I think Disney sees it as more valuable than just the show, and just keeping it on the air at all will be helpful to them, their overall. So I do think there's a very good shot. The best thing you guys can do is keep tweeting at ABC, at the Muppets on ABC, on Twitter, at the Muppets, like all those places to make sure people know, #renew the Muppets. And last thing, you can also help us.
Yes.
And believe it or not, like TV networks do look at things like podcasts and Twitter and all those things to gauge reactions. So hit us up with an iTunes review in the meantime. And we won't be able to shout anybody more out, but I want to shout out the people that we had left in our last moments. Sam Kayla, who said awesome show, and Spartan C63, unmatched passion for the Muppets.
Well played.
Thank you guys. And Spartan, Katie appreciates it. They say Uncle Deadly is just the best.
yes.
Yeah, and so guys,
Yes.
that's gonna be it.
Does TV by the numbers have a renew index on it yet?
It's not.
Okay. It's not. You're not gonna bring it up.
It's two sad faces. And so, guys, I think that's going to do it for AfterBuzz TV's The Muppets After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. I'm just repeating stuff now.
Yeah.
It's been a long season, and I really hope we get another one next year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I want to say thank you guys so much to my panel. You guys have been awesome. It's been a blast. I really love this panel. It's been so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. Just Muppet fanning out every
Absolutely.
week.
Oh,
It's been
yeah.
fun.
Oh, definitely.
So thank you, Autumn. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Katie.
Absolutely.
It's been fun. So until next season,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
I will be in denial that the ratings were bad, where can everyone find you? Let's start on the other end.
I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet. That's KIAXET. I'm also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. It's mostly Disneyland and cat pictures, so if that's your speed. I am on so many shows. Arrow is on break. It'll be back. Blind Spot is coming back, actually, right now, so that's a thing. And Robots in Disguise is also back Sunday nights.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That's KAUFMANN. I'm also on Snapchat, Steve_Kaufmann, but I'm also on Instagram, Steve_Kaufmann, but I only Instagram on Thursdays. I don't Snapchat. And I do a lot of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I tweet about them regularly.
Hey guys, I am Autumn Chiklis. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at my name, Autumn Chiklis. I also do a lot of different shows here. I'm on Popcorn Talk. You can find me. I'm going to be doing some Inside the Documentary soon. So hit me up. I'd love to talk.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube at @ZachWilson, ThatZachWilson, a whole bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. Be sure to check out the YouTube. I've got some fun comedy TV discussion things coming down the pipeline in a few weeks. So until next season, I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.